Welcome to our lovely future humans, our 5D collective. To those who are into which one? Empowerment or validation? Let's see if you're going to stick around or pivot to somewhere that talks about not how we master our lovely anger like grown-ups do. Yay! Okay, so are you looking to empower yourself or validate yourself? That's with personal growth and or spiritual journey, spiritual growth, and or both. I like to grow. I empower myself and I don't validate my irritable butthole. So this lovely card from this deck, it is actually funny to hear as our first Mars return would be the terrible twos when you learn to say no and yes, demanding things and how to demand things. So what I love about being a grown-up is that you can notice you're saying 2-year-old or 3-year-old and the charge, and you don't actually validate it. You also don't crap on it. You know what I mean? So what's a cliche sentence or a pet peeve or, something like, ugh. Okay, so for mine, it's life's hard. Life isn't hard. But then I remind myself we see life the way we feel it. So I was like, oh, wait, that's right. So it's only for the ones who empower themselves that life's easy, because we are with the capacity of dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, unexpecteds, and unwanteds. Now, the words aren't as powerful as when I let you in on. That means you are a master of your child self. Like, your actual self is you, you're authentic, you're not looking for pats on the back, okay? Okay, so I got the honor to answer in a wisdom Reddit group about life and how it isn't hard, and I said, the capacity to grow thanks to life is something immeasurable. And so that's the personal growth and a spiritual journey for empowerment. When you see the ones who instead think of their small frequency as something powerful, I just leave it alone because I'm not a mindful therapist. I support people with mindset practices and journal prompts and guides, the nervous system guides. Yes, on PayHip for the ones who are regulated leaders, which makes them create more leaders. When I spot the ones who are validating, what I think is, I thought the saying was, teach a human to fish so that they can continue to eat without you. What I've noticed is they're just handing fish out, and they're saying that they're teaching them how to fish, and it's no, because there's no ventral pivot. I'm noticing no ventral pivot, no relational integrity, no relational joy, actively people worried about somatic countertransference versus, oh, I can anchor my ventral energy, woohoo! There's a 10-minute mindset practice for the ventral pivot. It's for free, the PDF on PayHip. Just FYI. So what I've also noticed is people talk about entrepreneurship. I'm an entrepreneur. So yes, when they talk to you about businesses and how businesses that are incorruptible, they're great. Yes, that means that they have emotionally mature, mentally mature human beings who will make sure that their HR and their entire team leads with nervous system sovereign people. So it means that they have relational joy, so feelings matter. Also means abundance energy mode, which means they can see smoke and mirrors like I can. And that's where I'm trying to let you in on. The ones who know what it takes, they care to say, look, not all of us know everything. I definitely don't. And I'm not the mindful therapist, but I know the good ones who are. And then I know the people who say, I found it hard to me. And so, FYI, groupies are one of my biggest pet peeves, besides the whole life is hard thing, because, God blessed me with life. So that's really not nice. And it's not true that it's hard. It's just life with unknowns, uncertainties, unwanted. So you have the capacity to deal with your human secondary consciousness when you have the capacity to wield your nervous system. And that's though because you own the fear, the anger, the sadness of those first main 3 subcortical areas. So your temperament, intensity, and sensitivity, you wield that too. And you know your personality patterns like the back of your hand. And so when you journal and do mindset practices, when you download, when you astral travel, when anything's happening, the 3D, 4D aren't called evils, because they're really just, I'm going to bring it to you the scientific way. Well, let me give you one of both. You know how somatic bypassers are spiritual bypassers? Okay, so that's one. But also emotionally immature people, they can't watch your back because they don't even know how to watch their own back. Furthermore, they don't know how to get out of shame, blame, fault, revenge, because they're continuing to reject, abandon, and what else? Humiliate, injustice, and reject, humiliate, abandon, betray. So they continue to do unto others that which was done unto them. And so they're passing down these batons. So these are pet peeves of mine, because I really don't think that you thinking you're teaching someone how to fish is actually plausible anymore, because we have a bunch of good therapists out there with certificates. So I support personal growth and spiritual growth, because that's not therapy. Therapy is for people who want to empower themselves, okay? So while prior to whenever it is that we finally got all this stuff for free online, yes. Okay, so epistemically lazy people, they prefer stories and to validate each other. I prefer instead to tell you that being spiritual mystic is a bonus. It's amazing. That's what makes me have fun in life. Scientists, they prove that God's perfection exists. And as for the ones who don't believe in it, well, I mean, science is data. So there's no monsters in anyone. The low frequency is not dangerous. It just means that you're going to have dysregulated people around. You can't tell them they're dysregulated, because like Bezo Vanderkolk points out, they don't know the difference. And they actually don't believe in the science that can heal them. They believe in men and women who tell them that they're better than therapists. And they agree with them because they don't want to go and do the work. As Patrick Tian points out, a really awesome therapist who says, don't go to Boca Raton. It won't help you to reparent. And I say, yes, Patrick. Also doesn't help them heal their very, very big, unfortunate breakup with being a human. So yeah, when people's faith in humanity broke, they decided to continue to think of stories. No, there's no decision. This actively is why I'm just so sad for my brothers and sisters. 3D, 4D, they don't come to Mars in a way of saying no and yes and demanding things. So emotionally mature people know, or mindfully aware, accountable, regulating people. The ventral vagal, it's right here. Open heart, I said yes to Jesus, Holy Spirit, and God. So the Father and Son, Holy Spirit. Although I'm rejected, we all know that. But as Jesus points out, don't be afraid of the people who will actually look at you, point a finger, and call you names. You be afraid of God, and I ain't afraid of God. That's from the spiritual perspective. Scientifically speaking, as Neil deGrasse points out, objective truths are facts. And I'm like, yep, Neil, but believe me, when you try to explain it to people, oh no. So the capacity to grow thanks to life, yes, there's no actual, it's priceless. The capacity to be vulnerable in relationship, priceless again. You got your own back. If someone stabs it, you're like, oh yeah, that's actually the part of the brain that lights up when we get rejected. Physically speaking, a stab would be the same, but luckily emotionally mature people know how to notice that when you keep your heart open, it doesn't actually break, and it's just a muscle, and you do this. And people who fake it, they don't know how to do it. They say, I forgave. Instead, you say, well, I mean, hey, everybody does the best they can. And, you know, mediocre people follow around each other so they can validate their feelings. And then they think that the world should be about what is right, not what feels right. And it's, well, that there's feelings. They're very easy for those of us who are in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, which they also believe is fake and a trap. And there's a Zen master's laundry, and, you know, he doesn't know how to cry and hug someone. And then it's really, he judges human beings, yucky. I think there's other things that I would discuss as yucky. So anyways, impacts. The feelings we have about life, we all know they impact the road we're on. However, as you are pivoting to your ventral vagal state, as you live your authentic self, being yourself the smart way, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. So as you empower yourself, you did learn how to fish. It's called, you know how to self-regulate. You do know what that food, the nourishment. So eustress versus distress. Awesome. Restored embodiment. Good resilience. Great. Neuroception is a real thing, and the ones who don't believe in it, well, they usually don't know anything about it. The ones who think that we all are in the defensive mode don't understand how abundance mode energy works, and how some of us are differentiated selves at the age of 3 and say, you can't spank me in my body. And there's an ego and a self that then went to go make the suitcase after I got spanked. Oh, and also FYI, just so you can understand, this same 3-year-old looked at the biological father and waited 3 times to correct. He was saying the wrong name. I'm a twin. And so this is why I got lucky. I had the perfect environment. A twin to play with, fight like cats and dogs. The capacity to get disowned. Nope, I got disowned at 8. I got rejected at 4. To be told different isn't better or worse, and therefore there's your equanimity. It's, oh, and then the part about being able to, very angry emotions, still my 3-year-old comes up. In fact, I get to continue mastering her. And that's with the same primary caregiver who I'm like, and that's where ego's at and self. So we all know we have personality patterns and temperament. So yes, we don't change. In fact, in love, you don't change each other. You blossom together, because that's what love is I see you. I soothe, safe, secure. Yeah, you're a safe haven, secure base for yourself and others. I watch my back and I watch your back. Oh, and I'm not afraid of neutrality. Actually, I love it. I'm always very much walk like an Egyptian. Hey, you know what? I just got triggered today. There's a lot of stuff going on. Can we chit chat so I can share? I don't want to vent. I just want to share it, wield it, and then, continue pivoting and knowing how the humans who will get to be appreciative of when they're on the path of personal growth and a spiritual journey are the same ones who, do you know I found out about Atlantis? This is a side note for my regulars. So that I've been telling you all, like, we're going to find out some new stuff about Atlantis, yes, but it's not for today. For today, just remember, our 2-year-old, yes, who said it's a terrible 2s? The only people who would call us terrible at 2, it's like, yeah, what, did you not know? Gabor Mate points out, at 3 years of age, we have an ego. We're going to interact with you. That's because we exist. And that's the part of when you get a third attunement repairing rupture and you're like, and you stand up for yourself and you do it like this. And you don't ever actually collapse, submit, or any of the other stuff. Just saying, like, it's really fun. My 3-year-old is my favorite childhood memory. So, FYI, it's just freaking awesome when you can have a hypnotherapy session. And it's very different. Excuse me, I'm going to have to pivot to a side note right now. So there's mindfulness risks. The risks are because those who are non-bilaterally integrated need to first get bilaterally, vertically, and overall integrated so that then they can wield that nervous system, because you only autonomously self-regulate when you will have had that 1/3 attunement repairing rupture, and then the capacity as an adolescent, when you pick your next 5 allo-parenting crew, to maintain your integrity, which I personally said yes, because I said yes, God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, I forgive. And so I learned how to handle cowards, and by the time I was 18, I was like, hey God, so listen, no Lucifer, bunch of cowards, yes, betrayers, liars, I don't even know what the fuck is going on by the time I get to the twin flame stuff, but I still see the same opportunity. All of people can become their amazing authentic self. So being yourself, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, it's because you self-regulate. And so the ventral pivot, you want it because it's your blissed out state, and the flow state actually pushes our brain to the edge of criticality. And it's like, wow, really? Because I've been having a fun time. I don't know what a push, I mean, if they physically push me in but I don't usually hang around people who put their hands on me. In fact, actually, I have a funny story for that one. It was the beach. Some friend of mine kept teasing me about dunking me, and I started to panic every time they were coming near. They were laughing. I was not. The 3rd time, I'm like, I'm not going in the water anymore. Oh, stop. You're not fun. I'm like, no, I don't give a shit. You keep talking. Never went in the water with them again. There's a teenager. Never, ever, ever. Okay, so once you grow up, you just remember that's 5 hands. That's all they have. If you got a person who's growing, you're going to notice how they get blissed out by life as they age. If you got a Gargamel in the room and they don't want to become a actual human being, you leave it alone and you say, hey, so the Smurfs, we're going over here. Yeah, and the Care Bears. Grumpy Bear can come along because Grumpy Bears we can handle. But Gargamel, think you'd rather be with Pinocchio on the island and, the Lost Boys with Peter Pan so that you can continue fighting fake fights and having fun. We're going to... Okay, so life isn't hard when you're authentically you, and that is because of the capacity to grow thanks to your unknowns, uncertainties, unexpecteds not freaking you out. And so that's where temperament, personality patterns, again, personal growth is not about validating your charges. It's I get charged, I can get activated. I continue to pivot because that's my capacity. So you're not a helper, a healer, an empath in a way of being special, a mystic, a spiritual one. We all are somatic empaths. The only people who are healing are the ones who are welcoming who they are home with a good mindful therapist, and they're not bringing us their unfinished business. As for those who bring us their unfinished business, we don't reject them because I've got the power, because forgive, in my case, you know your stuff, but power of forgiveness is basically because you know how to wield those basic human emotions, anger, like a grown-up. And for me, I'm not God. I'm not it. Even if we're a speck of the energy stuff, seeing source in all is because I know they can all reach the same level of capacity with their embodied brain. Everyone has a soul. Everyone is a part of the cloth, but they all will have a different journey and they will have free will. Although, as lovely Robert Sapolsky with his book, A Science Man, will have said, they don't. And some others also like to think we don't. And I like to say, well, hey, if you don't want to empower yourself, that's all cool with me. In the meantime, I'm having a fun time into the unknown. In another hypnotherapy session at the end of my journey, I was like, hey, nah, I don't want any of the roads I know. Give me a new one. I don't want to know what the road is. And someone I told this to was like, you asked for something that you would not know? Yeah, I know those other roads already. I wanted a new one to have fun on. That's how life is. So welcome aboard. Empower yourself. Life, it gets easier when you're ventral pivoting. Check out PayHip, check out Substack. We have plans. I have plans. Oh, and we do have more coming for our lovely mystic community, just not today. And terrible twos, they're not terrible. They're just saying, I. And there's your I am presence. And the real yes and no is from a ventral vagal state, because that's how functional inner child adults do it. So we don't project, we actually use our words. So here's what I'm thinking, here's what I'm feeling, here's what happened. And sometimes it might not be as nice as this, but it's still a conversation because we're all using our prefrontal cortex. You notice when you're activated and charged under pressure, and you don't do the grumpy bear dance or the Gargamel dance, you see? So we don't validate our maladaptive patterns of behavior. We say, okay, let's adapt, mature, and breathe, and let's grab our lovely fire from the heart. And as for those who reject us, it's okay. We're cool with being rejected by ignorant people who don't know how to master themselves, because, you know, they are actively very much afraid of neutrality, and then they like to poke at it. And it's like, okay, healthy self-worth boundaries are easy to say. It's like, okay, this is how it's gonna work. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to give you what you want, and not this. I'm healing. That's not actually the nicest way to approach anyone. It's you snapped, and you didn't take ownership of that, and you called yourself a healer. And we heal each other, but that's because we're welcoming ourselves, and then we're maturing ourselves. So anyways, thanks for stopping by. Check out PayUp, check out Substack. We'll be back with more.